It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. We're on KLUP 930 AM, KSLR 630 AM in San Antonio, and KNTH 1070 AM and 103.3 FM in Houston, Texas. Also on Facebook Live, YouTube, and podcasts everywhere. Today we're going to be talking about what happens to your house when a loved one passes away with Stetson Honey, attorney with Marquardt Law Firm. Can you sell it? What if the title is a mess? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But first, let's check in for the financial focus with Joseph Warren. Joseph is a co-owner with his brother and father. They own Financial Planning HQ. They're true financial planners. They don't sell investments or insurance. Joseph, tell us, what do you have in store for us today for the financial focus?
I wanted to talk about a shocking stat, which I'm sure some of your listeners have heard before, that 70% of wealth is lost by the second generation, and by the third generation, 90% of accumulated family wealth is usually squandered.
That's awful. How can wealth be lost?
I think it's part of, there's a famous book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
I've read that.
And, one person works really hard. They claw their way up, to building this generational wealth through grit, perseverance, entrepreneurship. But once they do that, it sort of creates this system where, the default way of being is short-term thinking, and their family inherits it, and they didn't have that struggle. Mm-hmm. So they're more likely to spend it. And by the time you get to the third generation, you almost have this sense of like, this is how we live. We have wealth. And by the third generation, I think 90% of it is lost by default just because of our human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so how do you help your clients not do that?
Yeah. Well, we look at the mistakes that lead to that. And a big way, if I could just sum it up in a sentence, is you have to start thinking of your family like an enterprise, like a business. I remember talking to you a while back, and you said you had a mission statement for the Marquardt family, right?
That's right. I read about that in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People.
Yep. So you want to have that mission statement just like a business does. That's rare that you see that for a family, but it really is how a family that's building wealth and wants to keep that wealth should operate. They should be clear on what their mission statement is, what their core values are, and it should all be in a written document that they share with the family. We call that the family constitution. And the first step in our process, we call it the financial roadmap. We really drill deep on some of these things. What are your core values around money? What purpose do you want to serve? What impact do you want to have with your wealth? And usually it's not just I want my grandkids to be ballin', as the kids say. I don't know if the kids still say that. It's usually like, we want to give some of it away. These are causes that are important to us. We want our kids to have character, because character is something that's built, right?
Right.
I remember when I got my first car, my dad very graciously and generously gave me an old Lexus when I was going off to college, and I didn't work for it, and I didn't treat that car well. I kind of a little bit ashamed to say I used to smoke cigarettes back then. I would smoke in the car. I would just treat it badly. I would drive it rough. But when I, matured a little bit, brought my own car, saved up money to get my own car, at that point in time, I did treat my car a lot better. So there's something to be said for when you earn something, you steward it. So kind of teaching that stewardship over just, spending the money and enjoying it. And that comes down to, teaching your kids. I think a great model for that is like the Rockefeller family. Mm-hmm. They really had a system in place. So first of all, they had a family office style system where everything was coordinated. Their tax planning, investments, legal, insurance, everything is coordinated and working on the same page.
Sounds like the Warren family.
That's exactly how we work. And it was very innovative at the time because that was the 1800s when he set up that type of setup where they had their own capital management company. We believe in perfect coordination of all experts. It comes down to communication as well. Sometimes I'll see people who've built a lot of wealth and they don't want to tell their family, maybe because of fear that they're going to become like the family piggy bank, or they're going to be asked for loans, or their family might get greedy. But when you do that, your family's not going to be prepared to inherit the money.
What does the Bible say about financial stewardship?
I've been love that I've been putting Bible verses in here. I've been enjoying, thinking which one it kind of just naturally fits. But Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever is faithful with very little will also be faithful with much."
Amen.
Yeah.
Briefly talk about the legal planning to protect intergenerational wealth. What can families do to make sure their wealth is preserved?
Yeah. This is your forte, Todd. This is your firm. But one thing, working with you, we've seen is, protecting against things that can happen down the line, like divorce, creditors. So you set up this legal structure so no matter what happens, the money's not going to be lost to divorce and these things that might happen in the future. I remember you talking about this trust that said you had to have a prenup or you wouldn't inherit the family wealth.
Yeah.
And that's meant to protect the family and make sure that the wealth stays in the family and isn't lost to things that happen.
The replacement spouse.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't want some other dude spending my money.
Yep. You want to plan for that, and the legal planning is a huge part of it as well. So setting up those trusts and protecting everything.
And it's not just divorce. There's business setbacks. There's economic downturns. There's frivolous lawsuits that an inherited trust can protect the inheritance.
Yep. There's so many things that can happen, but you want to plan for those while you can. So it's not just kind of like thinking about what got you here won't get you there. It's not just building the wealth and all that. You have to think about how we're going to keep it, how we're going to pass it on to the next generation. Yeah.
Somebody wants to talk to you about how to do this, how to come up with values around money. What should they do?
Give me a call. So the first step in our process, completely complimentary, no strings attached, is to sit down and complete something, really an experience called the Financial Roadmap. And we really drill deep on those core values, what your exact goals are, and exactly where you are now financially. And that can be used as a prototype of your family constitution. So that could be something where you say, this is our mission statement. You can really work off of that and say, these are our core values, and this is what we want to happen with have happen with our wealth. And if you want to schedule that, just 210-444-2128. We will be the first 3 people who call. We'll be doing complimentary meetings with you. So give me a call today, 210-444-2128.
Joseph Warren and I are talking about legal planning to protect intergenerational wealth and what families can do to make sure their wealth is preserved. Joseph, what's another big thing for the 10% who preserve their wealth?
They have everybody at the table, so they'll have meetings about their money. And me and my wife do this as well. We call it a mastermind. We'll meet once a week, and sometimes they're working meetings, and we're like, we got to get this done. But other times we're saying these are the big financial decisions and big decisions we have to make as a family. So including people so they know the culture as well once you have that family constitution. The Constitution, just like our country, we have the rules for how things are settled. We have the amendments, the Bill of Rights. You want to have those rules written down and operate based on them. And just having those meetings, I remember the first time we had a meeting where we had grandma and grandpa there. We had the in-laws, we had their kids, and then we had their grandkids at the table. It was powerful because it really made it clear, like, these financial decisions they're making, the tactical part is cool, the strategy is cool, but what's really cool is kind of seeing how it can impact multiple generations.
Right. And this was a client that you had.
Yes, and we had them all there sitting at the table. But it can't just be a one-time thing. It should be an ongoing thing. Maybe not weekly, but quarterly, just like a business, having meetings and saying, this is where we are now when it comes to our wealth, and really thinking about it like a business. Yeah. So
if families don't want to lose their generational wealth by the 3rd generation, what should they do?
Call me right now, 210-444-2128. It's no strings attached, complimentary meeting, and it will be valuable for you, whether we work together or not, and could be that first step towards making a family constitution.
Thank you for the financial focus.
Thank you very much, Todd.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Are you confident about your financial future? What if you had a clear financial roadmap and a team holding you accountable to make the best financial decisions no matter what? At Financial Planning HQ, Steve and his sons, Joseph and Jacob, have been helping San Antonio families since 1987 with inspiring, intelligent financial strategies. Whether it's achieving or maintaining financial independence, becoming more tax efficient, or building business wealth, we create a comprehensive, written lifetime financial strategy that's uniquely yours, based entirely on what's important to you. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Call Financial Planning HQ today at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. And take the first step towards financial clarity. That's Financial Planning HQ, inspiring financial strategies for San Antonio. Remember, 210-685-2722. Hi, I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. If you don't have a will, the state of Texas decides who gets your stuff, and it might not go where you think. I'll help you create a simple, legally sound will that protects your family and your wishes. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com for your free consultation. Do it before you die. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. On the radio, on Facebook, on YouTube, on talklawradio.com. Today I have with me Stetson Honey, attorney for Marquardt Law Firm. We're going to be talking about real estate titles and probate and how to secure your home. This is where I help you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. So Stetson, you went from real estate to estate planning and probate attorney. What lessons from real estate title law do you use every day?
I would say most often is making sure that usually the individual's home is taken care of for how it's to pass upon their death, whether it be, as part of a trust-based plan, will-based plan, or just a transfer on death deed or something of that nature. I've seen it on the other side when things like that aren't done, and so it's nice to be on this side to try to get ahead of it.
Right, make sure everything's in order.
Right.
So that you can make the real estate title attorney happy.
Correct, yes. Yeah, make the underwriters happy and everything like that.
Speaking of making people happy, let's get to know you a little bit better so the listeners know who you are. You're not just an attorney with Marquardt Law Firm. You're from Abilene, which most people would say is a small town. You left country living for the big city in San Antonio, so we want you to tell your story. You grew up there, and so I wondered what drives the economy in Abilene.
So in Abilene, we have, we're home to Dyess Air Force Base, which is really, really beneficial to Abilene's economy, in my opinion. But outside of that, it's a real agricultural-based community, so there's a lot of that also. Those, in my opinion, are the two top drivers.
And so how did you get interested in the law? Why didn't you become a farmer or go into the Air Force?
Well, I didn't become a farmer because my family does not own enough land. And I didn't join the Air Force just because I just never really, I guess I never really considered that option, to be quite honest with you.
What are some of the paths that you didn't take?
Well, I wanted to be an optometrist initially. That changed about, a year or two into my undergraduate studies, and that's kind of how I wound up here. I studied political science, and going to law school is kind of the natural course when that's your major.
Yeah. Tell us about your family. What do y'all do for fun?
Well, so I have a wife and one daughter, and we have two dogs. one of which we're really struggling to potty train right now. She's a puppy. And for fun, honestly, we just like to do anything together. So long as all three, or now all five of us, if you include the dogs, are together, we're happy.
Cool. Outside of the office, sometimes you and I play golf.
Yeah.
Tell us about your golf career.
Well, I've played golf a majority of my life, played through high school. I did play in college for a short stint. It's one of my favorite things about it is it's something that I can play for my entire life. I don't have to be in great shape for my whole life to play golf and to play well.
Yeah, well, you are a great golfer. I know you don't like to brag about it, but you're better than me. So you've been working with me and the other attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm for almost 2 years now. What do you like about working at Marquardt Law Firm?
To be honest, it's the people. It's it's just really close knit, and like I know the clients can tell, but that's really my favorite thing is the people.
Great.
I mean, you can do the work anywhere, but the people aren't going to be the same anywhere.
Right.
So yeah, it's the people.
Cool. Thanks for saying that. Since you started working with us, what are you most proud of?
Honestly, with probate or estate planning, either one, people are just really grateful at the end of it. Even if it were an ugly probate or something like that, when it's done and it's just lifted off their shoulders, they kind of just release a breath. And I do too.
Yeah.
It's pretty rewarding, in my opinion, in that aspect.
Yeah, so you're proud of the way that you help them overcome those situations.
Yeah.
That's cool. What do you think is next in your professional development or development as a professional?
I think ultimately, in this particular field, I would really like to become board certified someday. I would like to get to that level.
Yeah, that's a good goal to have. What's one thing listeners would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, man, I don't know. I've never been on an airplane. That surprises a lot of people.
Yeah, it does. That's cool. Well, we're here talking with Stetson Honey, attorney with Marquardt Law Firm. We're going to get into the hidden legal issue blind spots in real estate and probate. If you have a question, you can call us right now on Saturday, May 16th, 2026. You can call 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867 and ask a question about real estate, about probate, about wills, trusts, or lots of other things. We'll try and answer your question live on the air. So I mentioned when we first started this that you went from real estate title attorney to probate and estate planning attorney. Tell us what being a real estate title attorney is like.
Well, it's looking at a lot of documents, which any attorney role arguably is. But for instance, what I did, I not only did the title search and all of that, but we also performed closings. So it was really to kind of see it from inception all the way through closing a lot of times. Now, we didn't work the files in between. The escrow officers would largely take care of that. But yeah, I've seen all sides. I don't know. I've come to understand it's not super common for attorneys to perform closings within title companies typically, but we did. So that was kind of unique. My understanding that's kind of a unique attribute to Abilene is what I've come to understand. So,
what's important about title insurance and title closings?
Well, I would say that everybody needs title insurance for sure, and it's kind of like any other insurance. When you decide or when you realize that you need it, when you don't have it, it's just far too late.
And what does it cover? What is it insuring against?
So really ensuring against, that there are no adverse claims to the property, there are no other owners claiming to own it. Any liens that were on it previously, those are required to be cleared prior to closing. Things of that nature, we want to make sure, if there were a probate somewhere or maybe an intestate estate, that all of that was handled, and that, if we need heirs' signatures, that you've got them.
Right. So even before you started doing a lot of probate working with us, you were already seeing sort of the mistakes in the chain of title when somebody passes away.
Right.
Why don't you describe that? How does a title attorney find that? How do you discover that there's a problem?
Well, you start by performing the search.
Let me ask it this way. Where is my title to the property that I own?
Well, it's in the real property records. It's really not like, you could argue that your deed, your physical deed, is some form of a physical title. In my opinion, it's really not. Real property is not like a car or anything like that. It's through a recording system. That's how everything is kept track of.
And so my deed is just a link in the chain of title.
Essentially, yes.
And that's how you would discover that there was a problem after somebody passed away, if there's a broken link or a missing link.
Yeah. We look at the vesting deed is what we call the most recent conveyance. Oftentimes, hopefully, it's the record title owner that we're looking for. But yeah, that's where we would start to determine, is the individual listed as grantee on this vesting deed? Is that who we have selling the property now? Most of the time, yes. Sometimes, no. So you kind of figure it out from there.
What's the difference between a title search and a title opinion?
So a title search is kind of, at least in my opinion anyway, is just the act itself of, pulling deed records, pulling, any liens that are out there, any encumbrances, any easements that may be on, anything affecting the property, pulling the documents. Whereas the title opinion is actually, I guess, the product of the search, really. It's an attorney kind of putting down on paper, hey, here's current owners, here's, all the documents we found that affect title or marketability of title, and a good title opinion will provide, advice on how to clear title if there is an issue, if there's a cloud or anything like that.
I had a client one time bring me the Schedule C, I think, where it has deficiencies in the title, and I helped them clear up those things. What had happened is that my client's father filed these things that were a cross between a power of attorney and a deed, and he would get his relatives to sign their interest over to him on this Frankenstein power of attorney deed, and the title company said that it wasn't a deed. And so all that work that he did on his own without the advice and counsel of an attorney was wasted. And so we had to go back and redo all of that. And in between time, people had been scattered and lost.
Sure.
And there was this homeless person in Arizona that we had to track down. Thank goodness he had a P.O. box. And so I sent him a letter and said, look, we'll pay you $100 if you sign this deed. And the family went to Arizona to make sure that it was signed. It was the best $100 they ever spent.
I'm sure.
It wasn't a very valuable property. It was an undeveloped lot. My client was just tired of paying property taxes on something that they couldn't use.
Right.
And so it was worth it to pay an attorney to get all this cleared up. This is Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Stetson Honey, attorney at Marquardt Law Firm, talking about real estate law. We're going to be talking about probate law. And stay tuned after the break because I have a really cool Sinners and Saints story for you. Be right back. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, here with attorney Stetson Honey, attorney for Marquardt Law Firm. He's focusing on probate and estate planning. This is the third segment, so we're going to talk about sinners and saints. Okay, you know I like to talk about sinners and saints because Martin Luther, the famous theologian who nailed his 95 Thesis to the church door, said that we're all born sinners, but we're saints too because we've been forgiven and absolved by the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So I combine that with my role as an attorney, and I like to talk about law and gospel and sinners and saints. So the sinner is somebody that did something bad, allegedly, and the saint will be somebody that's done something good. So we're talking about real estate and probate law, and so I wanted to tie this in and find a sinner who had sinned against real estate. And I found one in Houston. So if you're listening on KNTH, call us right now, 210-308-8867, and let us know you're listening and where you're from. The sinner is from Houston, or the Houston area, Harris County, Montgomery County. It's a married couple that's been accused of stealing of dozens of properties through forged deeds and affidavits of heirship back in 2025. The suspects, sorry I have to mention your name, Alba Martinez and her husband Jaron, they were sued by the Harris County Attorney's Office for running one of the most brazen deed fraud schemes the county had ever seen. The couple allegedly forged deeds, including fake notary stamps and affidavits of heirship, falsely claiming ownership of these properties, often by pretending to have inherited them from deceased owners and transferred those properties to themselves or shell entities. Then they tried to sell these properties to unsuspecting buyers. Are you familiar with this problem?
I haven't experienced it firsthand. I do know a lot of people are worried about it. I've had a lot of our clients ask us about it. But there's recently been something, in my opinion, that it's not a cure, but it may help prevent some of it. In the most recent legislative session, it was required now that anybody recording a document that's a real property conveyance of some form or of any form, that individual is required to show their photo ID to the clerk prior to being able to record it. Isn't
that discrimination? What about people that can't get an ID? This just reminds me of the Save America Voting Act.
But I would argue if they don't have an ID, how are they even purchasing property to begin with?
Oh, so another instance when an ID is required when you purchase property?
Well, the notary's going to need to see it to notarize all the documents. If there's a lender involved, their packet is going to be littered with places that need to be notarized. So,
well, you're going to have to tell all this to the left because they vehemently hate voter identification. Well, and they hate identification for everything. They should be standing up in the streets saying that minorities can't purchase property because they can't find their ID.
Yeah, well, these rules exist for a reason.
One of them is to stop fraud.
Yeah.
Well, in the same legislative session, Senate Bill 16, which was signed September 17th, 2025, also had some new criminal offenses in the Texas Penal Code. Section 31.23, filing or attempting to transfer, sell, or encumber someone else's real property without the owner's consent with the intent to deprive them. And 32.60, using deception, false statements, forged documents to obtain or affect real property title. So they're going after these people.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about this. I found a Facebook page from, I think it was Fort Worth, the district attorney's office. They say there's two big wins for victims. Criminal judgments will now be filed in property records, showing that the cloud on the title came from a crime, which makes it easier for the homeowner to sell their homes. And victims can now ask a civil court to void the fraudulent deed with no filing fee. So I didn't verify the validity of those claims from Facebook, but since it was posted by the district attorney, I figured it was
I would
probably
like to believe
true.
that it's true.
So all this problem with deed fraud and title theft got me thinking about that commercial on TV. And some of the radio hosts even promote this company that sells title fraud insurance. And the Texas Attorney General, well, let me back up. A client asked me about this one time. Do I need the insurance that they sell on TV to stop people from stealing my title? And I said, I don't think so. I've never had anybody tell me that their title was stolen. Apparently, this happens mostly in Dallas and in Houston. So if you're listening on KNTH 1070 or 103.3 FM, this is a hidden legal issue blind spot. You need to make sure that your title doesn't get stolen. But the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, in 2023, issued a civil investigative demand requiring this company that advertises on TV to provide evidence backing up its advertising claims, how common title theft is, and the need for its services. So he's claiming that they're deceptive trade practices. And another thing that I learned is that you can do this yourself. You don't need to call any company on TV. You can search for your county and, search for your county clerk's office and fraud alert, basically. And if you're listening to Talk Law Radio and you want step-by-step instructions on how to do this, and you don't want to search online, you don't want to go down the Google wormhole, you can email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOS as in Sam, T as in Timothy, at talklawradio.com. And I'll email you back with some specific instructions. Just put fraud alert in the subject line, and in the body of the email, tell me where you're listening from. So I was able to find the Bexar County fraud alert website. You just go to that county clerk's website, where we search for the deeds. And the menu button is those 3 lines. Websites don't even have a stamp there that says this is the menu. You just have to know that 3 lines means menu.
Yeah.
And you click on that, and one of the links is property alert. And I didn't get much past that because I had to come here this morning. But this is something that you can do yourself. And if you want step-by-step instructions, email me at host@talklawradio.com. So that's going to be really cool to start telling all of our clients about this fraud alert.
Yeah.
The saint for this week are a couple of people running nonprofits here in San Antonio who are helping people that don't happen to own real estate. They're what we call homeless or unhoused. So you might remember Mark Wittig, who runs Town Twin Village, was on our show back in November 2025. If you want to review that episode and see the positive impact that he's having on people's lives, search YouTube for Talk Law Radio, Town Twin Village. Another saint who's also making a positive impact on people's lives is Dawn Fosdick White. She's the director for Christian Assistance Ministry, and she was on the show back in January 2026. And if you want to see that episode, search YouTube for Talk Law Radio Christian Assistance Ministry. Okay, so we've been talking about all the problems that happen with real estate title. How can people that expect to inherit a property do something to help prevent their inherited property from being stolen in the first place?
Well, if assuming no probate's been done yet, right?
Right.
So the first step, in my opinion, whether whoever the decedent may be, don't put off going to speak to an attorney to see if probate's necessary or anything like that, because if you do put it off, record title's not going to change on its own.
Right.
And you're just you're really opening the door for the sinners here to come in and attempt to, fraudulently steal your property.
Right, and not only that, but it gets more difficult over time because people might pass away, they might get scattered across the United States, and a lot of times when somebody dies without a will, you have to get the participation of lots of members of the family to get things cleared up. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Are you 100% confident that no matter what happens in the financial markets, economy, or world events, you will achieve your financial goals? If not, we have a process to get your financial house in perfect order and keep it that way forever. Your financial future shouldn't be a guessing game. Planning, advice, organization, and accountability are deliverables you should expect. For over 35 years, Financial Planning HQ has been San Antonio's trusted partner for comprehensive written lifetime financial strategies. Steve and his team, including sons Joseph and Jacob, don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they create a personalized financial roadmap for you based on what's important to you. As an independent registered investment advisor, they're not tied to any big corporation's products. They work for you, creating inspiring, intelligent financial strategies that put your interests first. Call Financial Planning HQ at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. Hi, I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. If you don't have a will, the state of Texas decides who gets your stuff, and it might not go where you think. I'll help you create a simple, legally sound will that protects your family and your wishes. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com for your free consultation. Do it before you die. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Stetson Honey, attorney for Marquardt Law Firm, talking about real estate title and probate issues. This is our fourth segment. It's the legacy segment.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Stetson, attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy.
Correct.
What insights have you learned about legacy from working with clients doing probate and estate planning?
Well, on the good and the bad, the story's the same. There's just one clear difference. Really, if you have wishes and you've expressed those wishes, whether verbally, whatever it may have been, make sure that you put them down on paper, preferably in an estate plan drafted by us. That way we can ensure everything is exactly how it should be. But yeah, if you want to leave a legacy, you've got to do a little bit of legwork prior to leaving this earth. To leave a legacy, you need to do some legwork.
Amen. In our first segment, Joseph Warren with Financial Planning HQ mentioned that legacy and financial wealth can be lost by the third generation. Some people refer to the old American proverb, shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. And so if we want to make sure that that doesn't happen, that somebody's legacy isn't lost in 3 generations, I think that you have to be more intentional about what kind of estate planning you do. You should definitely have a last will and testament. Everybody over the age of 18 should have one, even if they think they own nothing, because you could be worth a lot of money if you get hit by an 18-wheeler or a physician makes a medical mistake, and one of those advertising on TV could get you millions or jillions of dollars, and then you need an executor to file that lawsuit. Another thing is that you can leave an inheritance to your loved ones where they put it under the mattress, or you can leave it to them where it's protected, like in a safe. And the difference is if I just leave an inheritance to you outright, that means no restrictions. That means you can spend it any way you want. And that also means that it's subject to claims from creditors, judgments, liens, divorcing spouses, business setbacks, economic downturns, and frivolous lawsuits. Or I can leave it to you in a testamentary trust that has a spendthrift clause on it that says that nobody can take your inheritance, that even if you go bankrupt, even if your wife takes everything that you have, they can't take your inheritance. How powerful is that?
Very.
Yeah. So do you have experience with clients who wrestle with that option of whether to leave it outright or in trust?
A lot, yes. Every family is different, and every person or child, or whatever it may be, adult child is different. So we often have that conversation a lot of times for a pretty long period of time, because, it's an important decision. Do you want some strings attached? Do you trust them with what you're fixing to give them? Or
well, even if you trust them, none of us has a crystal ball.
Sure.
We don't know if these thieves are going to come out of the woodwork. There's criminals out there that will send you things in the mail that say that you owe money when you really don't.
Yeah.
And so we have to guard against that. Another thing that I was thinking about was divorce. Some parents that I talk to, they love their children dearly. They say, my children have been married for decades. They're never going to get divorced. They are good with their money. They don't have creditors. They're perfect angels. They're never going to fight after I die. And so we just want to do something simple. And I say, you are truly blessed to have a perfect family and perfect children. I wish that I had that.
Yeah, same.
We see so many problems. People come in and God bless them, they're in distress because of family conflict or because of a divorce or a second marriage, or their parents diverted their inheritance over to a replacement spouse unknowingly. That I worry about everybody. I had some friends at church that years ago, nobody will even know who I'm talking about, so don't think it's you. But they got divorced, and everybody was wondering, how did this happen? We didn't know that they were even having problems. It was just like all of a sudden, they're divorced. And so what I've learned is that none of us knows the future. So we have to do some preventative planning. Mm-hmm. We have to try and anticipate the unexpected and plan for the unknown. That was my tagline years ago.
Yeah.
So what do you suggest to clients in addition to just having a will? What do you encourage people to look out for?
Well, if it's just a will-based plan that they're getting, well, my first question would be, how are your bank accounts set up? Are there any POD beneficiaries named? Because if there's not, please update that and put that on there. Same thing, with their residents. I would say for most average people anyway, the most valuable thing that they have is usually their home. So it's important to handle that correctly, and there's many ways to avoid probate for that particular asset. So really want to focus on that. Yeah.
Well, let's go through a hypothetical scenario about somebody who dies and really wanted his stepchildren to receive his house and his inheritance.
Yeah.
What could go wrong if you die without a will and you want your stepchildren to receive an inheritance?
Well, first off, if you die without a will, you're going to need to go through, or one of your family members is going to need to go through an intestate probate. And within that, there's going to have to be a determination of heirship. So the individual here in this hypo didn't write his own will, so he didn't get to determine how his assets were distributed. The state of Texas decided for him.
Right, it's in the statutes.
Yeah. So depending upon who he was survived by, whether it be a mother, a father, or siblings, that's who it's going to go to. Assuming he's not married or if he's a widower or whatever it may be.
There's so many factors.
Yeah. You have no control at that point. Zero.
And so what would be better if you wanted to leave an inheritance to your stepchildren?
Well, you need to put it down in writing for sure, because stepchildren are not an heir at law if they're not adopted or anything like that. So you would need to put it in writing if you want to provide for them. In
a last will or living trust or something?
Yes.
Okay. So let's assume that he wants not only to leave them an inheritance, but he wants to make it easy for them.
Yeah.
What would he do with that?
Ideally, he would create a revocable living trust and make sure that trust is fully funded prior to his passing. That's best case scenario. And I think his stepchildren, assuming they were the ultimate beneficiaries of that trust, when they would come to our office, hypothetically, they would be very pleased to find out that they don't need to go through this process called probate. Everything has been taken care of. And, their heartache of losing their stepfather doesn't have to turn into headache of having to go through probate. It's all buttoned up.
Right. And so if people want to make sure that their wishes are followed, that their wishes are legally enforceable, they should probably see an estate planning attorney to make sure that the words that they write down on paper are legally effective.
Yeah.
In the previous segment, I told you about a Frankenstein power of attorney deed. I also had a different client who had a Frankenstein revocable trust will.
Okay.
And so what happened is it said revocable living trust at the top, but then it appointed an executor, and there were no assets titled in the name of this revocable trust. And so I filed it as a will for probate, and the staff attorney said, yeah, this is a will, even though it says revocable living trust. Because it appointed an executor to serve without bond. It was just, I really cherish those Frankenstein documents.
Was it self-proven?
I don't remember that. I'll try and find a copy so I can show it to you. I'd really like to have like a collection of Frankenstein documents that we can use to train our staff. But if this sounds like something that your parents are going through or something that you're going through, if you think that you've inherited property, don't wait years or decades to try and get it cleared up. You need to talk to an attorney right away, because people get scattered, people die, and those family relationships, those relatives, you're going to need everybody's cooperation to get things cleared up. I've had some people that said, I should have inherited this property. My granddaddy died 40 years ago, and that's just not...
It's not how it works.
Well, it's not a good starting point. I mean, if you have enough money, I guess it's possible to clear any title.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show.
Very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Did you have fun?
I did. It was a blast. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, if you need an attorney, call Marquardt Law Firm at 210-530-4278. We'll talk to you later.